Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new NVIDIA daily update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over NVIDIA. Let's talk about what has happened to NVIDIA, what we can expect moving forward, and all that good stuff. If you enjoy, don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice, and I'm not a financial advisor. And of course, if you enjoy my technical analysis, thoughts on the charts, etc., well, again, I do have a YouTube membership where, again, I just share my thoughts, posts, updates, etc., the charts, technical analysis, options flow with members constantly throughout the day, every single day as the market is trading. So definitely check that out if, of course, you're interested. That link is down below in the description of every single video I post for the YouTube membership, which is just $3 a month for the first tier, which includes, of course, all my Tesla updates. The second tier, which is $5 a month, includes all my Tesla and all my NVIDIA updates. And then, of course, the final tier, tier 3, $7 a month, includes all my Tesla, NVIDIA updates, plus non-Tesla, non-NVIDIA updates. And on the weekend, I do chart requests with members over on Discord. So jumping into it, Tesla. NVIDIA closing the day up a pretty humble, we'll say 0.65%, holding pretty strongly, at least relative to AMD's earnings, right? AMD kind of falling off a cliff a little bit here, but NVIDIA actually, kind of unfazed about it for the most part, right? Now the question lies, well, what is next for the stock? Well, once again, what do we know and what do we see? Today's low, where did it find it? Right at that 9 exponential moving average once again. As usual, that thing is continuing to hold the stock up pretty damn well, I have to say, very impressively. So moving forward, we have a few things to watch for here. Now, today, despite the fairly decent range, you can argue the fact that we moved in, we actually printed an inside day candle today where we traded today's whole range completely within yesterday's range. So short term, I'd be watching for a few things here, right? Mark the high of yesterday's high and mark the low of yesterday's low. And a breach above or below that, which essentially is going to be about 180 to 181, to as low as about 175 to 176. A move in that respective direction, continuation in that respective direction is what I would expect, at least, right? So let's see how that plays out and let's see what actually happens moving forward with this right here, right now. That's kind of what I'm expecting right now on this stock. Simply put, that's the daily time frame, right? Now, granted, obviously the MACD you can see is back to making fresh lower lows now, right? We had that fresh, single higher low, but then now it's back to double lower lows in a row, despite today being a green day. So the MACD is not really buying any of this, and it's actually starting to curl back down at, again, pretty elevated territory. Now, is this the concern? Well, it could be. But as long as the 9 EMA continues holding as this strong of a support as it clearly has been, clearly continues to, I wouldn't say that the bears or anything like that have won just yet at all, right? It's still kind of anyone's game for the most part. Now, let's go over to the 1 hour time frame. The 1 hour time frame, we know that the fact that, go ahead and bring it like this, right? We know we're looking for a potential rejection at the green Fibonacci's, right? We're not really getting there just yet, right? I definitely am surprised we haven't got there yet. I expected us to, maybe tomorrow, who knows? But the green Fibonacci's pretty much up to 181 is still the level to watch for as a potential rejection and move back lower. Again, it's pretty simple. If the bears strike pretty much right around here, that's going to be something to watch for, and we could get a pretty sharp move back down from there. However, if the bulls reclaim this level and especially reclaim about 183 and set fresh highs, this nullifies this entire potential dead cat, if you will, and we most likely continue higher from there. In my opinion, back to the top of the daily rising channel, which could easily bring NVIDIA back, potentially even into earnings, to around $190 per share, give or take, of course. That'll be the way I'll be looking at NVIDIA kind of moving forward as early as even tomorrow, right? Or, into the end of the week, potentially even into the rest of, a good portion of the rest of this month. To the downside, obviously, now if the bears do reject here, if we start losing yesterday's low to tomorrow, for instance, or something like that, right? Well, that's going to be where we start seeing a little bit more concerning signs. And that at that point, I would expect at least a back test, if you will, of the 21 EMA, and of course the rising channel's bottom trend line, which in this case, because we're still rising, obviously that's going to rise with it closer to the very low 170s. That'll be the first level to watch out for, where we could actually find a bottom and a pretty strong bounce from. Now, if we come down here and we lose this range, we start losing the 21 EMA, we start losing this, of course, rising channel trend line support, that's going to be where things get a little uglier, and we most likely make our way ultimately much lower, well, not much lower, but definitely lower, to retest previous all-time highs, which I still think at some point we will, right? It's just there's no way we don't at some point retest this overall range right around here. Like, I fail to believe that at some point NVIDIA will not retest that. There's a chance it doesn't, but I'd be pretty surprised if it doesn't, to be completely honest with you, because this was just such a massive level of resistance, massive level of supply, if you will, that there's probably so much demand that's sitting there that's where like the real demand is going to really start to come in for the stock, right? So I don't know how long it'll take. I'm not trying to predict, it'll be by next week. I don't know. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I'd be pretty surprised if at some point, maybe in the next week, maybe in the next month, maybe the next 3 months, maybe, who knows? It could take a while. You never really know with these things, but I'd be surprised if we don't at some point retest this range. Kind of like what happened with Tesla, for instance. I remember back when we had this massive rocket ship, right? Let's go to the weekly actually. Right? Remember this right here, eliminate everything on the right side here. Just only look at from here to here, essentially, right? Like this. I still remember when we were up here for Tesla stock and I was saying, this level was a very massive area of resistance for such a long time. I'd be very surprised. I'd genuinely be pretty shocked if we don't retest that range at some points. And of course up here, no one believed that, right? Everyone up here laughed at that. They're like, there's no way that's going to happen. That's crazy talk. You're insane. That'll never happen. You're actually a lunatic, right? But we not only came back to retest that, we actually went even below it. So again, it's just when you break out of such a massive area of what was a resistance or supply, it's not unusual to come back down and essentially retest that zone and turn it back into potential fresh liquidity, right? Fresh demand, if you will. So that's kind of the situation I see with NVIDIA here on the weekly time frame. Same idea, right? Resistance. It just, again, I don't know how long it'll take. I'm not trying to predict how long it'll take or when it'll happen, when it won't happen. I don't know. I simply do not know. But at some point or another, come back to retest that zone and then make our way higher. Something like that, right? To retest this sort of, 150s-ish, 145 to low 150s sort of ish zone. Let's see. Maybe it'll happen after earnings. Maybe it'll happen into earnings. Again, I don't know. I'm not trying to predict how long or when it's going to happen. But I'd be pretty surprised if we don't get that at some point. Now, obviously up here, no one's going to believe that, right? Especially if we had it even a little bit higher, no one's going to believe that, right? Everyone's going to laugh at that and think NVIDIA's only going higher from here. But again, it's the same thing everyone was saying up here. Like, I make these videos every single day. I remember the sentiments, right? Everyone was just super bulled up here. And, because the stock ran up, right? The stock ran up and everyone's bulled up. It's usually how it works, right? And then the stock plummeted and everyone's bared up, right? And the exact opposite move happened every single time. Everyone's bulled up, the stock tanked. Everyone's bared up, the stock rose. And now everyone's confused here, right? Just worth mentioning. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. Nothing is guaranteed in the market, but it's just something I wouldn't be surprised to see. And that's just kind of my overall perspective. Now, obviously, one of the signs I'm looking for to give me a potential idea that, okay, it's probably going to happen a little bit sooner than later now is, well, like I said, we have the stochastic, the SMI, which is, I guess, the stochastic, all the way up in these levels, all the way up here, which, obviously is pretty overbought. But it can stay overbought for a long time, evidently so. The second factor that I was looking for that I kept mentioning is I want to see a lower high on the MACD histogram, which in the past has signaled potential exhaustion, buyer exhaustion, right? And that's going to be what I'll be looking for as the two major signs on the weekly time frame, if and when we get that, to tell me the fact that we could be heading finally lower to retest this massive area that's waiting to be tested essentially for this stock. And that's going to be how I'm looking at it and moving forward. Pretty simple stuff. But again, that's a bigger picture. This will take time. This is not going to happen in a week or two. This can easily take even a few months potentially. Like, again, I don't know how long it's going to take, but it could take a while, right? You never really know for sure with these things. So just keep that in mind, right? It's not going to happen overnight. It'll take time. So for now, we focus more on the daily, even the 1 hour time frame, to give us that kind of shorter-ish term movements, which for now, again, I'd be looking for the high and the low of yesterday to be potentially broken and held for a move higher or lower. Again, as high as about 190 into earnings, potentially down to almost 170, potentially, into earnings, or at least partly into earnings. I think that's pretty much it. Not much else to talk about. I think that's the majority of what I wanted to mention. Take a quick look at options flow very quickly for NVIDIA. What do we have here? Not honestly surprising amount of flow. It's a little bit on the slower end today for sure. Nice bullish flow in the morning, but ever since then, nothing really came in. The bulls are still dominating, don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't say it's any, there's no clear direction in terms of just like aggressive bullishness or aggressive bearishness. Nothing unusual, I should say, really came in today that made me kind of, raise my eyebrow. You know what I mean? It's just standard bullishness, if that makes sense. So let's see what that ends up, kind of resulting in. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's pretty much all I got today. I don't think there's that much more to talk about. Where's my Duolingo? Duolingo's up 15%. I actually really like this app. This Duolingo. Hey, I like Duolingo, man. It's a nice one. It's a nice app, nice stock. We'll see where that goes. That's kind of my YOLO play. Anyways, all in all, thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.